I'm going to play a video from an exchange that took place a couple years ago involving this woman here, and her name is Erin P. Gall. She is a New York State Supreme Court Justice, and we're going to expand further on the other side of the video clip. Without further ado, let's get to it. DJ, spin that shit.
Fuck out, man.
We'll call you tomorrow.
If the key turns up,
we're absolutely going to throw it in the toilet. You're welcome.
Don't clog your toilet up. But
if you think we're going to turn over,
up,
we're not looking for any keys.
Let's get them out of here. Come on.
I'm not looking for the key, is what I said.
If the key
I'm not looking for the key. Move along.
No, if the key,
I'm not. Yeah, but we're not looking for any keys.
I would not expect.
We're looking for keys. Are you kidding me?
If somebody says, "Hey, I found whatever, I found the keys,"
I'll call you if I find.
Yes,
but I'm not looking for a key.
The car started. Obviously, the best case scenario would be if the key turned up and we had it and we gave it back to them. They won't come back here looking for it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, if they come back looking for it, I'll call you when they're on the property. Because you want to find them on the property, I'll call you when they're on the property.
Not come back at all. That's what I'm sure you
If they did, they'll be arrested. Or they'll be shot on the property.
Well, I'm just letting you know that
because
the best case
when they
scenario,
trespass, you can shoot them on the property.
They should just come here and just...
No, I'm just saying.
I'll shoot them on the property.
No, that's not what we're saying.
So they can hang here every night if they want to?
No, all I said was if the key turns off, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to...
But can we just get them going?
Yeah, but why
are they still here?
So this is...
They should be here.
This is not the parties involved left in another car. These are the people that came to pick them up.
Great.
They're leaving.
Fuck out.
So they turn the lights on so they don't get themselves in an accident.
Right. They have their lights on.
Make sure you give them full representation next
Fuck.
school, all right, buddy?
You know what I mean? Their kids are...
By the way, fair use. Now, let's get to this. I took the liberty, pulled up a PDF file that we're going to discuss. Get her off the screen. Now let's talk about this. So, on September 22nd, 2022, the Commission directed the filing of an administrator's complaint pursuant to judiciary law authorizing an investigation of respondent based on the Commissioner's receipt of an anonymous complaint alleging that on or about July 1st, 2022, respondent invoked her judicial office and intervened with police officers who were called to the scene of a party at which her husband and son were involved in a fight with minors. Now, these are black kids that they were involved in this fight with. The anonymous complaint also indicated that a video of the fight was circulating on social media that the respondent was recorded on the officer's body cam, and the administrator's complaint was signed and dated on September 28, 2022. By letter dated October 28, 2022, respondent was apprised of the administrator's complaint and was directed to appear to give a testimony on November 15, 2022. She was also provided body cam and dash cam footage recorded by the New Hartford Police Department and Oneida County Sheriff's Department on the early morning of July 2nd, 2022. On November 15, 2022, respondent appeared with her attorney, testified. December 22nd, respondent co-signed and submitted through her attorney a letter to the commission supplementing and clarifying parts of her testimony. At the conclusion of the investigation, in which in addition to respondent's testimony included sworn interviews of numerous witnesses and examination of the aforementioned videos, the commission authorized formal disciplinary charges against the respondent, Erin P. Gall, with regard to the events of July 2nd, 2022. So, Stephen and Gina Pierce held a high school graduation party for their teenage son, Jackson Pierce, at their residence of the town of New Hartford, Oneida County. Respondent, her husband, William Gall III, and three teenage children, including her then 18-year-old son, William Gall IV, were among the approximately 60 invited guests who attended the party by written invitation of Stephen and Gina Pierce. In addition to the guests invited by Stephen and Gina Pierce, their son Jackson separately invited a member of others. Jackson Pierce, the graduating honoree, invited additional family friends by Snapchat, which included a private message shared with only those he invited. Stephen and Gina Pierce did not limit the number of friends that Jackson could invite, nor were they aware of the number of attendees or identities of those he invited. So the Pierces hired a bartender to serve alcoholic beverages to guests at the party from 6:30 to 10. They also provided a keg of beer from which guests could serve themselves and which remained accessible to guests after 10 p.m. when the bartender left for the evening. At a hearing before the referee in this matter, respondent would testify that she did not consume any alcohol at the party. That's a lie. I think she was done that motherfucker like was going out of style. Did not partake any prescription medications or illicit drugs before or during the party, and was sober during the entirety of the party and throughout the events of July 2nd, 2022. The Pierces set up a tent in front of their lawn for the benefit of the party attendees. Throughout the evening, dozens of individuals, including teenagers, arrived at the party. At some point, the crowd of attendees extended outside the tent and spread across the lawn and into around the road adjoining the Pierce's property. Sometime after 11:30, a large number of individuals, many of whom responded and their family understood had not been invited by any of the Pierces, arrived at the party in various cars and parked along the street. Thereafter, arguments ensued between the invited and uninvited individuals. Respondent saw an unknown individual whom she believed was uninvited overturn a tray of food under the tent, and she heard people talking loudly with some vulgarity. At that time, respondent could feel the tension building. There was an attempt to clear the area because it was dark, raining, and arguments and confrontations escalating. At the time, William Gall III, Michael Martinute, and William Gall IV began to shepherd individuals away from the tent area into the street. Individuals leaving the tent area and dispersing towards the street. Or individuals began leaving the tent area and dispersing towards the street. Meanwhile, on the evening of July 1st, William Carter, Jashim Valadares, and two other young men known as Dooley and Havel, all four of them are black, were socializing in Utica and discussing what to do that night when Havel learned about a party in New Hartford via a live video feed from an unknown unidentified friend in attendance. At 11:44, the friend texted the address to one of Mr. Carter's group. The Pierce's actual address is whatever. That's been redacted. A few minutes later, Mr. Carter, who at the time had a learner's permit but not a driver's license, drove Mr. Valadares and the two other friends to the party using his mother's red SUV. The drive took approximately 20 minutes. No one from Mr. Carter's group was invited by any of the Pierces at the hearing. Mr. Valadares would testify that he smoked weed approximately 1 hour before the young men left for the party. Mr. Carter would testify that he did not smoke marijuana. Mr. Carter's group arrived at the Pierces' address after midnight. The car parked the SUV on the shoulder of the road across the street from the Pierce's driveway and not on the Pierce's property. At a disciplinary hearing before a referee, Mr. Carter, Mr. Valadares, would testify that upon the arrival, they observed a large group of individuals, including teenagers and adults, congregating on the street and near the end of the Pierce's driveway. At a disciplinary hearing before a referee in the matter, Mr. Carter would testify that shortly after getting out of the SUV, he heard raised voices, and arguing outside the Pierce's residence. Although Mr. Carter did not see anyone physically fighting, he quickly decided that he and his friends should leave. A cell phone video of the chaotic scene recorded by Mr. Carter at 12:19 in the morning on July 2nd, 2022 was annexed as Exhibit 15 of the agreed statement. Now, shortly after Mr. Carter stopped recording, a fight and multiple fights broke out amongst a group of individuals, some who had not been invited to the party. At some point, William Gall IV was continuing to help clear the area. He was attacked by individuals who responded and her family members had never seen before and who they believe were uninvited. Now, William Gall IV fought with some individuals, and William Gall III interceded and attempted to disengage people from the fight, and other fights ensued. At a disciplinary hearing before the referee, respondent would testify her then 18-year-old son was approximately 5 feet from her when she saw him get slapped in the side of his head. She saw her son nervously laugh and attempt to retreat. Within seconds, several unknown individuals violently attacked him. Chaos ensued as the unknown individuals jumped on her son and brought him to the ground and began to kick, stomp, and punch him on or about his head, face, and body. Now, William Gall IV sustained injuries to his ribs and face, but did not require medical attention. Photographs of the injuries were included as evidence, Exhibit 10. So it goes on and on and on. I'm not going to bore y'all with too much more of these details or whatever like that. The fact of the matter is, in this investigation, this woman right here, Erin P. Gall, was engaged in a loud, public, prolonged, and profanity-laced tirade with responding officers and others at the scene, as you saw in the video. Now, the encounter was captured on body cam footage from responding officers, which was presented as evidence as part of the commission's investigation. Now, following the investigation, the commission determined that Gall, Erin P. Gall, who's a New York State Supreme Court justice, should be removed from the bench. They issued their ruling on July the 17th, and Gall received her copy on Monday, according to the commission. And after such determination, court officials said that the judge is typically suspended with pay, and that Gall will have 30 days to request a full review from the state's Court of Appeals. Now, once police were on scene, the commission said Gall quickly introduced herself and that she was a state Supreme Court judge. The commission says Gall invoked her position more than a dozen times over 1 hour and 20 minutes. The commission said that Gall made several profanity-laced and racially charged statements regarding several black teenagers at the party who claimed that they were looking for the keys to her car, or they were looking to the keys to their car so they could leave. Now, Gall was captured on body cam footage shouting, "Get off the property." And that's from Judge Gall. I'm a fucking judge, and I'm telling you to get off the fucking property. She continued that you're going to get in the Uber, buddy, or you're going to get a cop escort home. That's how it's happening. That's what I'm telling you right now. That's how I roll. That's how I roll. That's how Mrs. G rolls. That's how Judge Gall rolls. The commission said that Gall also told the officers that I don't know if I have to call the chief of police in regards to getting the black teens arrested or their vehicle towed. This is the type of people that is serving on the bench. This is the type of people that is serving on the bench. So it's clearly there's a bias there. There's a bias there. Now, if there's a bias there, then clearly she can't be impartial to any kind of rulings that might come across her desk. And we see this more often than not. That the judges, the prosecutors, and the police officers work hand in hand to ensure convictions of black people. You can't tell me that doesn't go on. And if you ever been to court for anything, whether it be a minor traffic infraction to, a heinous violent crime, more often than not, the judge already looking at you like you're already guilty. If you're black. And you can't tell me that doesn't happen. Case in point, there was a day when I went to court. I had to go to court for it because the officer said that my vehicle was swerving even though I don't drink and I wasn't sleeping, but my vehicle crossed the line too many times. So when I went to court and I'm trying to explain to the judge that no, my vehicle was not doing that, he took the cop's word over mine. He took the cop's word over mine, and I had to pay that damn fine. But clearly, there's a bias there. When deputies on the scene expressed concern about a possible civil rights lawsuit in the court, Gall told the deputy that the good part is I'm always on your side. You know I'll take anyone down for you guys. You know that. After the mentioning that her son was going to business school in the fall, Gall said of the black teens, they don't look like they're smart. They're not going to business school, that's for sure. You know what that sound like? That sound like that goddamn governor, Kathy Hochul. These young black kids don't know what a computer is. Fucking racist bitch. Relatives eventually bought a spare key for the teens and they prepared to leave. The cops discussed the possibility with Gall and the party host that they may eventually find the missing keys and it would be best for them to turn it to the police. To which Gall responded, I'll call you when they're on the property. If they did, they'll be arrested or they'll be shot on the property because when they trespass, you can shoot them on the property. I'll shoot them on the property. An officer from Kirkland Police Department confronted Gall, calling her lady, ma'am, and stating that this is in Texas. You can't shoot anybody for simply going on your property. Do you hear what you're saying? You're all white, privileged people with high-powered jobs. To which she replied, don't call me lady. Judge, it's judge. You guys really didn't do much. The cops left around 1:40 in the morning. The commission said that Gall had conversations with the sheriff's office at her courthouse on July 14th regarding her dissatisfaction with how the officers handled the situation. So, yeah, she definitely needs to be off the bench. Because she can't be firm, fair, and impartial. She always going to take the side of the cops. And if you're black, you're already at a disadvantage when it comes to this woman. Now, how many more judges think like that? How many more judges that thinks like her, walks like her, talks like her, acts like her, is sitting on the bench right now? And more often than not, you see these cases to where there's bias, and years later, that bias gets exposed. How many cases have we seen overturned due to insufficient evidence and judicial bias and all kinds of misconduct going on. And more often than not, it's black people that's at the wrong end of these prison sentences. And then years later, decades later, they're getting released. And then some of these states now, they're redoing the laws to where if a black person is unjustly put in prison for whatever crime or whatever like that, then they can't even get compensated for it. It's like, my bad, figure it out, right? But this lady's disgusting. This lady is disgusting. So yeah, she should be disbarred. She should be kicked off the bench. I have absolutely no issue with this white supremacist and this anti-black racist get kicked off the bench. And if I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. I even talked about it in the video I did yesterday revolving that cop, Sean Grayson, who gunned down Sonia Massey in her own home. I talked about that yesterday. There needs to be an overhaul of this entire justice system. And not only there needs to be an overhaul, there needs to be an extensive vetting process before they get hired to their position and during the time they do get hired. So that way we can't continue to have stories like this. So yeah, she's getting kicked off the bench. She's supposed to be there until next year. What's up, Tyler Brown? She's supposed to be there until next year. Sometime like the end of 2025. But yeah, she's getting kicked off the bench. Now, whether or not she's actually going to kick off the bench for her misconduct, that's a whole different story. But in case you don't know, the New York State Commission for Judicial Conduct has basically gotten one of its own, Erin P. Gall. She's a justice of the Supreme Court 5th Judicial District in Oneida County. She is facing removal after police body cam footage exposed her for her anti-black racist rhetoric. No, judge, you can't just shoot people just because they came on your property. This ain't Texas. Now, this woman, and she's a Republican. She's a Republican. She was elected to the Supreme Court in 2011. Her 14-year term is set to expire at the end of next year. She earns $232,600 a year, and she's going to be suspended with pay. If you ask me, she should be suspended without pay. Leave it up to me. She should be suspended without pay. Now, once again, she did appeal to the New York State Court of Appeals. So they're going to decide her fate. But yeah, she should absolutely be kicked off the bench. Racist bitch. Oh yeah, mom. Them kids not smart. Them kids look like they're not going to business school. How do you know? See, these people always think alike. They think alike. And where's racism taught? It's sure as hell not taught in the school. Racism is taught in the home. You got motherfuckers like this running around here. This is where kids get their racism from their parents. Because the shit don't fall far from the asshole. You guys let me know what y'all think about this. This is crazy. This was a crazy ass story. And why it take 2 damn years for the investigation to take place? 2 years, y'all finally come up with a decision? 2 years. 2 goddamn years later, we finally getting the decision. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Shouts out to the LDBC. This your man. Scream at me. Hurt!